Mabuhay! We are here in Municipality of Gandara and we are going to conduct an interview with teachers about their knowledge on instructional planning throughout their teaching experiences.
Come on and join us.
Because in all of the aspects in the teaching process, it was always learner-centered. That, kumbaga, it is the focus of our today's 21st century learners. It is always the learner that we need to cater. The learners' different learning style, the learners' learning diversity. We need to cater their multiple intelligences because as of now, we are not on the traditional manner, especially today where we are on the digital era of the learning process. To cater not only on the traditional way of teaching but to engage technology as part of the teaching and learning process. That's why I consider the teacher and the learner as the most important component of instructional plan. And that's all. Thank you.
Okay, so you have number one. What are the components of instruction? Objectives, the after objectives, so for the process, and then evaluation and practice. Assessment, and practice. I guess what do you think is the most important? OCENAR.
It's up to you, ma'am.
Okay. Most important would be, I guess the most important would be the objectives. Because it would be the guide, it will be your guide for teaching learning process. Because without objectives, I mean, there would be no learning. So that's why I guess the most important would be objectives. So when we write a lesson plan, we need to get to know our objectives. And to know our objectives, we need to know the strengths and the weakness of the students.
Yes, ma'am.
But it's okay for online man then. I mean, sometimes when you write lesson plan, it's kind of frustrating that sometimes you cannot hit your objectives, right? But it's okay because we have practice. And practice, you get to know the gap between what really happens while you do that. But for me, the most important would be objectives. For you to be able to have a guidance. Your goals will be the learning of the student.
Is what are the components of instructional planning?
Components of instructional planning. We were taught there were three, if I remember it right, three major components when it comes to instructional planning. First is the learning objectives, second is the assessments, and the third one would be the instructional activities.
So, second is, ma'am, what do you think are the most important components of instructional planning and why?
So I would just like one now.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I would go with objectives, learning objectives, because I think the learning objective is very important. It's your basis and how your instruction will turn out. And it is basically your guide, what types of activities you will include. And with your learning objectives, you can see what are the expected outcomes or what are the expected performances that your student will deliver right after your discussion or instruction.
Thank you.
Instructional planning plays a vital role to both teachers and the learners. In this matter, to effectively implement and address the diversity of the learners in the classroom, the teacher should conduct that covers the learning style of the learners, also to assess the feedback of the teachers, namely technological knowledge, pedagogical knowledge, and content knowledge, which is highly recommended for teachers to practice and implement in the teaching process.
As we conduct the interview for the veteran, experienced, and beginning teacher, we found that instructional planning has different components, and each component is important in teaching process.
First is the objectives. Simply, no objectives, no learning. And this serves as a guide in teaching and learning process of both teachers and learners. Second, the most important component of instructional planning is the learners and the teachers itself. It's because these two components are the front line of teaching and learning process. And lastly is the assessment. This will serve as a feedback about the effectiveness of your pedagogy of implementing the lesson and appropriateness of using instructional material to your teaching process.
In conclusion, instructional planning for teaching English in the Philippines encompasses various components essential for successful language instruction: the teacher, the learner, the learning objectives, content selection, lesson sequencing, differentiated instruction, assessment, and feedback, as well as the integration of language skills, contribute to creating a learner-centered and engaging English language classroom. By carefully considering these components, English teachers can help learners develop their language proficiency and empower them to communicate effectively in English.
That would be all.
I am REYMON LABONG.
I am BENJIE ORQUIN.
And I am RICO INOVEJAS. Thank you for watching.